Gotta say it. Lights, camera, action.
All right. Anyway, welcome back to Elhadjtv Connect. I have my guest, Larianny, here today.
Why, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Larianny is an actress, model. Can I say entrepreneur? Yeah, entrepreneur. But you got to tell me, what do you entrepreneur?
Hilarious. Well, I hold multiple hats. So it's, acting, modeling. I'm picking up writing, directing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool. So like a full production thing. Yeah. So Larianny, welcome to Elhadjtv Connect. Thank you for being here. We've been trying to get you for like how long now?
Stop. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, your schedule is like, whoo. Larry's be like, listen, man, I got this movie I gotta do. I gotta do this movie. No, I'm joking. But anyway, so introduce yourself, because I don't think I did a good introduction.
Okay. It wasn't too bad. But yes, my name's Larianny Perez, originally from Boston. I've been out here. Yesterday was my 6-year anniversary.
In LA?
Yeah.
What did you do?
What did I do? I did hot yoga.
That's how you celebrated?
Yeah.
That's a lit celebration. I usually just take a picture and post on Instagram.
Yeah.
That's my celebration.
I didn't even do that.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
cool though.
It was
So-
kind of just like a me, day.
Yeah.
Self-reflecting.
How's your experience in LA been so far?
It hasn't been bad. I feel like I've been super blessed with meeting great people.
Okay.
And being able to work with some pretty talented, creatives.
Okay.
So it's been good. I have like a community that I found pretty early on. I'm Dominican.
Okay.
The audience doesn't. But and 2 weeks into being in LA, I found a Dominicans in Cali community and just like started becoming friends with them and feeling supported by them, finding
Yeah.
other Dominicans in the industry and just like learning from them and growing. So
That's cool.
yeah,
That's
it's
good.
pretty lucky.
Damn, that's nice. Yeah, I've been in LA also 6 years. It's gonna be 7, I think July.
For you?
Yeah,
Aw,
it's crazy.
1 year before, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So acting, actress, writer,
Yes.
model.
Yes.
What do you think about what's going on with the writers' block? I mean, I feel
The
like
writer's strike?
yeah, I mean the writers' strike. What is going on with that? What do you think about that?
I'm glad that it's happening.
Okay.
Because essentially what it is like the writers want to be paid more. I think that's the big focus, but there are also other things involved too, just like protections and safeties and like regulations and things like that. But honestly, the people who are running these like corporations, whether it's Warner Brothers, Sony, Disney, Fox, they love to pocket a lot of money, more than they need.
Okay.
So at this point, it's just greed. And I think that what the writers are asking for isn't even a lot. And I know that these big CEOs can share the wealth and give that to them to make sure that these people aren't on unemployment or like on EBT and trying to live paycheck to paycheck. And I think like that's a really important thing to discuss in this industry, because when I first got here, I saw like there was a culture shock for me in how much money is in this industry and sometimes how much money is wasted in this industry. And I'm like, if that money can go towards the people who are creating the content, you know what I mean? Like there is no shows, there are no movies if it wasn't for the minds of these writers creating them, So
Question. See, I was having a debate with this about somebody, the writers' strike, right? If I'm understanding correct, because I wasn't too familiar with what's going on, because I'm so like digital and not the loop. So I think it's writers want to be paid more because they write something, and then this thing will go on Netflix, maybe theaters, Amazon, all these other streaming platforms, but they got paid like I'm guessing like a base, right? They're not getting any new revenue from like the new places that this thing is going, right?
yeah,
It's kind of like the thing, right?
it's sort of like a buyout. They pay you for the script or they pay you for that, but the residuals, I guess, aren't coming in as how you're describing it.
Uh-huh.
And residuals are essentially like you get more money, like another check, based on how many people are viewing it.
Right.
And so I've done modeling on The View, and that was a SAG project. I mean, The Real. And that was a SAG project, and so I got paid for that day, but then a couple months later, I got a residual check. So I got paid a bit more because it was running and people were watching it, and either it has to do maybe with the advertisers or them like getting more income.
But writers get that though, right? Residual or no?
That I'm not 100% sure because I don't know all the rules
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
writers union.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because I was arguing. My argument was, their argument was, the writers are arguing basically like, if I write a movie today, it comes out in theaters. The writers for that movie get paid for the movie, right? Now, let's say fast forward 10 years later, I decide to take this movie and do a deal with Netflix. And Netflix pays me more money for this movie, right? And then Netflix holds it for like 2 years. And then I take that same movie and bring it to like Apple TV. And they pay me, right?
Yeah.
So the movie generates money all the times. I'm getting the money, but the writers are not getting paid with the new money because they already got paid for what they think.
yeah,
So, and then the argument was, for me was, I think morally, it's not right.
correct.
Contractually though, it's a different argument.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's what I was arguing, because I was like, I feel like that's a very interesting thing, because what makes the lighters, the people that do the lighting, not fight the same case? Like I would fight it if I'm a lighter. I'm like, wait, hold on. If the writers are now getting paid for money when it goes across, as a person that do lighting, because the lighting is important, the sound guy is important, you know what I'm saying? The
Every
cinemat-
single person
everything.
is important.
So
yeah.
now how do we get past that? Because it's kind of like, it becomes a very thing where now everyone has to get paid consistently. So my thing is, how does that go?
You see, that's, I feel like, for the lawyers who are writing up these contracts. Well, first, like when it comes to it being distributed then to Netflix and then taking it to Apple TV, I think contractually it should be written in the writer's contract that no matter where this film goes, they will get a percentage or a portion, and they have to write that in. I think this maybe what hasn't been happening is them seeing the future of where their film can go,
Right.
and then like
I think
making
that's what
sure
they're
that
arguing.
they get
Right. Because they're arguing stuff that they did already that kind of, because nobody saw streaming being what it is today.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the thing. I think Dave Chappelle had the same issue with his show, you know, because what he argued was moral issues, because contractually what he signed, he didn't really understand because he did it so young. But then he realized, you know, it wasn't the right contract.
Yeah.
But because contractually he had locked into that, there's nothing that he could do. But his argument was more so on the moral side. Like, I think morally it was wrong.
And I think that's the thing, like these big corporations, they have the money to get the best lawyers possible. So when they write these contracts, it is a bit sneaky, you know, like where it works out in their favor. So I think it does make sense that when they go, prior to even them pitching to Netflix and Apple TV and Hulu and, you know, HBO, like Max and all these places, I know for a fact that they're looking through the contracts and they're speaking with their lawyers and looking through it and seeing if they actually have to pay, you know, everyone out or if they're good. And I think it's going back to what I said earlier, greed. You know, I think that these big CEOs are very comfortable in their big houses, in the cars that they drive and all this stuff, in the lifestyle that they live, that they're just finding different avenues to bring in greater income for themselves, and they don't care about everyone else who is involved. And that's not correct, because everyone knows filmmaking is a collaborative process. I will say that something else that's happening in our industry right now are reboots.
Everybody's doing a reboot, and they're remaking a lot of things too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think with that, like, what I was learning is that if a show, for example, let's just use Raven's Home,
Okay.
right? Is a spin-off of That's So Raven.
Uh-huh.
And so the original creator of That's So Raven now gets they get their income with the spin-off because they were attached to it.
Yeah.
And so Charmed was another reboot that happened. Spider-Man keeps doing reboots, but the person who created that original idea still gets that income. And so now old Hollywood is trying to keep making money by doing all of these spin-offs and reboots and things like that so that they can keep it instead of taking a chance on these new writers and new ideas and new creatives. So it's, again, greed and them trying to hold all of the money for themselves.
Yeah. No, I see your point. I also see the other side only because like I'm a creator.
Yeah.
Like when I do things, I kind of am the person that finances everything I do. So I don't have people kind of financing for me. Like I'm the financer. So like for example, let's say I have a cast of 10 people. You know, I can't pay everyone $100,000. Exaggerating, right?
Yeah.
$100,000 and still be able to do the project that I'm trying to do. Only because, like for example, like the person that a lot of times creates is responsible for already bringing everything you see together. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta add into equipment. You gotta add into all the people that's doing behind.
Yeah.
You gotta add into all the other things that get paid. Like you said, movie is like, or film is like just not one person. You know.
Correct, yeah.
I think with digital content, it's kind of making it a little bit that way because now you can find somebody that can do everything. Like you can find the right person that can write, edit, direct, shoot, and practically do everything. You know what I'm saying? Light and
Because they have to.
right now you have to.
Yeah.
And I think for me that's kind of like where I understand a little bit of the what is it, where the CEOs, I don't know if they probably keeping all the money, or I don't know how they money thing. I mean, they do probably should pay more than they're paid. I agree with that. But like as far as like, because this thing too is like, if I invest $1 million, not knowing if I'm gonna make 5 million,
Yeah.
I make 5 million. I can't feel guilty too for making that profit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's also could go the other way around. Like we see so many movies that get so many budgets and they don't go nowhere.
Correct.
And then
yeah.
we see the ones that don't get budgets and go crazy. So it's almost a gamble too with like when it comes to the industry. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly a great word to use. It's a gamble,
Yeah.
you know, and or an investment.
Yeah.
And so these people, of course, by all means, they're the ones who put in the money. They're the ones who took that risk, that financial risk, and so they do get the financial gain. That I completely understand. And I'm not going to say that people in the industry don't get paid well, because a majority of them, for the most part, do.
At least the top tiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's more so wanting that continuation or figuring out a best way to contractually make sure that they're still going to be covered going forward, because to be 100% honest, writing now is different from writing back then, because
True.
writing back then, the seasons used to be like 25 episodes, 30 episodes, you know, like they used to be a lot longer.
Yeah, yeah.
And so writers knew that they would be safe for a good year or more. But now with limited series, it's eight episodes, 10 episodes. Some shows are 12 episodes. Then it's like maybe they know that they're going to be working for half a year, and then what are they going to do for the rest? So I think it's also more so for like safety, financial safety and stability.
No, I can see, like I say, I see both points of the spectrum. So it's like I can understand how somebody that's like on set, you know, is hoping that once this project is over, I can find another project. I get that, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, I also understand how somebody that's like financing something and kind of taking a gamble can be like, well, I don't know if I can afford to pay everyone the way I want to, you know what I'm saying? But then I also heard this great philosopher. He actually said, I don't know if he's a philosopher, but he said something to me that's kind of like changed my philosophy. You know, he said when he was young, he was trying to come up, and he met this guy that was giving him advice, right? And the guy was like, while you broke at the age of like, I think he was like 28, And then he showed the guy, he said, well, this is all the company pays. And the guy said to him, this is all the company pays you. Are there people that make more money than you? And he said, yes. He said, so they're not paying, this is not all they pay, this is all they pay you. So a lot of times too in the industry, like we said, people make money based on their competence, you know what I'm saying? So it just depends on who's who. Like, obviously, I get that. And I also like am for the people that are coming up because I feel like I'm coming up myself and I do understand the struggles. But my advice to people, honestly, learn everything you can and start your own thing. It's easier to start your own thing now. I mean, it's technically easier because TikTok made it 10 times easy to blow up. You know what I'm saying? You have YouTube, Facebook, all these platforms that can like help you, you know, start your own thing. And that's my advice usually, because you're never gonna get paid what you're worth in that way. It don't matter how much you make. Like, people can pay you millions of dollars and you feel like you're still worth more. So that's just how I go. You know, that's my thing. But yeah, like the whole writer thing is kind of interesting because I'm like, I'm also thinking like that gets solved. What happens with the other people that do other things? Because if I'm a person that do lighting, I'm definitely fighting. I'm like, okay, well, y'all gonna pay me for all these movies that I lit that's going across different platforms. You know what I'm saying? Or.
But here's the thing. The writers, in a way, have intellectual property. I think that's why they're fighting.
Okay.
Because of the intellectual property. When it comes to lighting, they're helping with that. And so I think that's why it's a bit different, where they get the one-off, thank you for helping with this project and for seeing this vision through. Just like the wardrobe, just like the set designers, you know what I mean? There's like a lot of people who are involved, and it's like, thank you for bringing your creativity and your vision to this. But I think the writers, again, it's like, well, it came from my mind.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie?
Don't have to be all the time, something maybe could be recent or whatever.
Well, I really loved the Spider-Man.
The new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
All right, so what you love? What do you love about that movie?
I love how each world had their own look and how they all came together and it like blended really well.
Yeah.
I loved that, and I loved the story. I didn't watch the first one, but I was able to completely comprehend, and understand the second one.
Yeah.
And I loved the dynamic and relationship between the mother and the son. You know, because there was a moment when she said, you know, like, you're gonna go out into the world and there are gonna be people who are gonna say that you don't belong there, that you aren't smart, that you aren't worthy, you know, just like letting him know that he's gonna be in a world that's gonna attack him, but to know that he deserves to be there and that she loves him and she supports him, and that's all he needs to like think about and focus on, and knowing his worth.
Okay.
And I loved that because soon after he ended up facing that in his world, right?
Yeah.
And he remembered that lesson that his mom gave him.
Yeah.
And it helped him fight through it.
Yeah.
And to know like that he can choose his future, that he doesn't have
Right.
to believe what other people say
Right.
about
Right.
him.
No, I love the movie. I just I recently seen it, and I was like, they did such a great job. And the reason why I asked you that question is because to full circle back is like the story is so great.
Yeah.
And obviously that's somebody that wrote that, did a great job.
Yeah.
But the animation takes it to the next level. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, like we said, everybody has some type. Now, the animator may not have, well, I don't know if they have intellectual property, because maybe, but they can argue that case because the animation of the film is so different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so new. It helps the movie also become what it becomes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of asked you, I'm like, everybody can make a case when it comes to film. Like, if you would never watch a movie, I don't care how great the story is. It's like music, for example. You could be the best person to write a song. If you cannot sing that song well or perform that song, it's not going to hit the same. It don't matter how good the song is. You could have a great script. If the director is not great, the cinematography is not great, the lighting,
The sound, the
sound,
audio is not good.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yes, you may be the person that created the concept, but it takes all these other people to make
Yeah.
that concept come to life. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like in that case, anybody can make the argument. Because if the writers, if the people that do cinematography, like they go on strike, none of these stories come out. If the directors go on strike, none of these stories come out. If
Yeah.
the lighters don't want to light, the movie's gonna look trash.
And I think that for some reason, I thought there might have been a wave where all the unions, in a way, were gonna go on strike at the same time.
Yeah.
Because the actors, SAG-AFTRA is on strike right now.
Right.
So I think they jumped on board because they had specific requirements and it wasn't going to be met, and
Yeah.
they had a specific deadline and it wasn't addressed, and so then SAG-AFTRA went on strike.
Right.
So now it's the writers and actors, and so I kind of just figured all of the unions were going to go for that exact reason.
Right.
you know?
Because I'm looking at it. That's why I'm like, it's so dangerous. It's like, it's one of those things where the whole industry is like, it takes everybody to make something move. Like, your car could be great, but it doesn't go nowhere without wheels.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And gas.
Yeah, and gas.
Yeah.
So it's like when you have a beautiful car, but if the gas company's not making gas, like that car is useless.
Yeah.
So it takes, everybody has a part to play, and I do think that's the thing. My whole thing is like, what happens if they win or lose? It's like, who goes next and say, you know what, we need to go on strike, and how do we get this? Like I think, like you said, I think the contracts just has to be originated well. I think going forward, it'll be easier. But since, like I said, like we said, a lot of people that are now fighting are people that wrote back in the day, like, and
Trying to
stuff,
get-
and
yeah.
trying to get their money because all the stuff they created, like nobody saw what it is today. It's like you can make one thing that can go on 20 different things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I will say that there's a film that came out. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but Zendaya produced it and she starred in it, and Denzel Washington's son, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was her scene partner in it.
Was it like the Gray film on Netflix?
I believe so.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
I've seen parts of it. I haven't fully seen it, but I've seen parts.
So with that film, what I learned was that it was filmed during COVID,
Yeah, I remember that.
and so no one was paid.
Oh, wow.
Everyone did it essentially as a passion project.
Oh, wow.
And then once it was sold, Zendaya gave everyone a percentage. And so I think it was like the DP got 2%, same with the director, 2%. Maybe all the lighting people got 1%, the actors 2%. I don't know full on all the percentages, but I do know that even with 2%, they made like 200K. And I think that that's in a way a smart way of going about it, because if you divide everyone, right, with their 2%, 1%, whatever it may be, that's still probably less than 50% of the total financial gain of the film. So she still could have made 2.5 million from the film, and the other 2.5 million went to everyone else and distributed it in the way that they saw the value for it, right? I think that if companies were to do that just across the board, then it would still make everyone happy in a way, like literally everyone, because the producers would still get a huge percentage.
Well, that's the way. That's the new way of making contract. Like people, like everybody wants to have a percentage or some type of ownership with something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you follow football, like soccer, right? This guy, his name is Lionel Messi. Messi.
Yeah.
He just came to Miami, but 3 clubs wanted him. Barca wanted him, but they couldn't afford him. One of the clubs in I think was in Saudi Arabia or like the Middle East, they offered $1.6 billion to him.
What do you mean a club wanted him?
Like they want him to play.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, because it's like right now he's like he was moving to a new club, and like he's like the best player. So like 3 clubs sent some offers, and the one he went with was the one that paid him cash up front the least. But in the contract, it's crazy because it's like a contract that people haven't really seen. It's like he gets a percentage, I think of, stock of Apple future sales or something.
Nice.
He also gets one from Adidas.
Yeah.
And then after his contract is up, which is 3 years, he'd be able to buy a team. It's like an MLS team. So it's one of those things where the new way of negotiating is no longer give me cash up front. It's like, how can this money be like future money that's gonna accumulate over time?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. That's the new way of like really making a contract. Like people like upfront cash is no longer like a what is it? Like it doesn't grab people's no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do that when I like try to work with things. I'm always like trying to build like, okay, let's, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'll go with don't give me no money till money comes in, and then we can figure it out.
Really
So
talk. That's
yeah.
sort of like, I mean, the movie Air came out about Air Jordan,
Oh yeah. I want to see that. I didn't see that.
or Michael Jordan, and it was good because it talked essentially about that. It was him. Well, first off, it was about the company creating the shoe to bring in Michael Jordan to
Yeah.
be like the face of Nike, and his mom, Michael Jordan's mom, made sure that contractually he was going to forever get a percentage of every sale that the shoe had. So she was a smart woman. She knew
She helped
the
him out.
importance and value of longevity of income, and not just, oh, I'm going to sign this contract and I'm just going to get this one-off payment from you guys each year that he's playing basketball. No, like if you're making a shoe centered around my son's going to get a percentage of that. So yeah,
That's
I agree,
that's
it's
smart. That's smart. Yeah, that's crazy. When it comes to like contracts, it's very interesting because you come here not knowing how anything works, and just because even me, like I'm still like I don't be knowing nothing, but I learn. I'm like doing my research, learning. I do know when people offer you money, so much cash up front, it's never good. It's really never good.
Yeah.
Like the cash behind it is so crazy. It's like you're gonna regret it, and I've learned that. So it's always interesting to just like, I guess, study and learn these things, or have a good lawyer.
Always,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That can
You
help
got a
out.
lawyer?
Do I have a lawyer? I don't have like I'm always figuring out who I want to deal with. I'm trying to look for like an overall lawyer, somebody that I found one, but they were so expensive. I was like, I don't want you. Yeah.
Try looking for a pro bono lawyer too. I was just at Array, which is Ava DuVernay's company, and she ended up coming to the event.
Okay.
Because they were doing like a joint event with Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Okay.
And so they were like screening a couple of films, and she popped in and she made an announcement, obviously thanking everyone who was there, but also she wanted to recognize one of the lawyers who, or the lawyer who has partnered up with her nonprofit, and saying how, a lawyer fee is like $78 an hour or something like that. And she was trying to find someone who can help support them and give them legal advice with, like without having to pay for it. And that person saw the value in Ava's nonprofit, and she literally helped support without, charging. And she said that she loved, being at the event, and like later on I thanked the lawyer and I was like, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, no, of course, like this is what, like warms my heart.
Yeah.
Just like seeing the community that comes together and all of that. So the impact, right, that she has.
Yeah.
So I think it would be worthwhile, like looking at different companies and figuring out who would be willing to, help you pro bono.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Yeah, that's another thing. Doing this, like doing it your own, there's so many things you just have to get done too. It's like, I'm also looking for like a manager to like reach out for like brands and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I'm like trying to get all that situated. But hey, LA.
It'll happen.
Yeah. So, fast forward. You've been here. Any big projects you worked on since you've been here?
I want to say the biggest project that I've worked on is working with a YouTuber called Darman.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He has a crazy following.
Yeah.
A lot of views. I think right now it's been like 20 billion views
20
overall
billion?
in all his platforms,
That's a lot.
if I'm not mistaken.
That's a lot.
And so, but in the beginning, like I downplayed it so much because I'm like, oh, I'm just working on with a YouTuber.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you realize that's the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because like the videos that I was doing was getting like 30 million views.
More than television.
Yeah, more
rating.
than
Yeah.
television. And I recently, well, not recently, after a year of having been working with him, I traveled to like Jamaica and then DR and, you know, like Europe. And while I was traveling, I was getting recognized.
Yeah.
And people were like, oh my God, are you the girl from Darman?
You're a big deal.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I am. And, you know, like meeting fans, taking
Yeah.
pictures, asking them like how the show has impacted them and things like that. So it's, you know, it was
That's
a lot
cool.
of fun. But I think it took seeing the impact it had on people and people recognizing me to realize how big of a project that I was on.
Yeah.
Like I knew it was big in regards to the social lessons because like every single episode
Has some type of social lesson.
yes,
Yeah.
it teaches people not to bully, not to judge, not to change who you are for someone's approval. Just like so many different things across the board and across ages too. Like there will be situations in elementary school and situations with adults. But so I knew from the jump that it was super impactful and powerful, but then just like receiving that feedback was really
That's
what
nice.
solidified it. Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. No, I've funny thing, I found out who he was after I started working with you. Yeah, that's when I like found out because
Yeah.
at first I didn't know, and then I was like, oh, okay, and then I think you even told me about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, cool, this is so lit. Yeah, it's dope, man. I like it, and that's another thing. It's like now I think actors are also realizing like, you know, being in Hollywood does not just mean you getting a role in like the movies. And
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like doesn't the big screen is not the only way actually
Yeah.
to really be in Hollywood because I feel like social media has kind of leveled the playing fields.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like somebody like him that's generating 30 million views a video. That's like TVs don't get that. The television that's not getting that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's getting that. You know what I'm saying? And you like a part of that.
Yeah.
So it's just so like, yeah, Hollywood is like now. That's the thing too. I tell people, man, like I know they submit like they casting headshots to like these what is it studios or their agents whenever they request it and stuff. But I tell them, man, submit it across the board. If you find a content creator that's creating content and you feel like you would want to be a part of it, man, reach out.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to reach out to them than the actual, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
full production. So it's like, it's easier to tell somebody, hey, man, I would love to be a part of what you got going on. You know what I'm saying? And then it goes from there. So I think that's a good thing. That's cool.
And I think you brought up a valid point. Like you could be in Hollywood, but you can. There's so many different avenues in which you can still be creative and still put your face forward. Because I think even before moving here, people were saying how like sometimes it's very difficult to like get into the industry, but when you create your own content, then the industry comes knocking
Comes to
on
you.
your door.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Yeah.
think that's powerful too because they're like, I see what you're doing, I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let's bring it onto this network or
Right.
let's do this.
They
you
do
know?
that a lot.
Yeah.
That's what helps. I mean, like, look at people that like are super TikTok famous. Like, they're getting so many opportunities because of
Yes.
the, you know what I'm saying, just the fact that they get so many audience, so many views. So it's like people want to see that. So that's, to me, that's beautiful, you know. Yeah, so you was here during the pandemic?
Yes.
How was that?
I stayed. The pandemic was, for me, because it was different for everyone, for me, it was a beautiful opportunity to grow,
Okay.
right? I feel like prior to the pandemic, I always told myself that I wasn't a writer, but I had these visions, right? I had these ideas of scripts and, you know, like stories. But for some reason, I kept telling myself no and, you know, like having an internal self-doubt. But then during the pandemic, I'm like, well, now I truly do have so much free time.
Yeah.
Now what's the excuse? You know, I'm not working full time. I'm not working on a show. If I say I can't do it, now's the opportunity to learn how to.
Yeah.
So I was reading so many different books on screenwriting, on directing, continuing learning about acting. I took a screenwriting course with Sundance Collab to learn how to outline a feature film. And it was on the topic of horror. So I have 2 horror films that I've been working on.
Just started doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think the pandemic just gave me the opportunity to say yes to me. And then I also was able to work more,
That's
you know, like
cool.
with Darman and doing voiceover
Yeah.
for different schools within LA,
Yeah.
and just like teaching the high schoolers how to prepare for college, like what they need in regards to FAFSA and like how many credits and things like that. So the pandemic, as much as I say, oh, I hate it because it took 3 years away from me, like being in LA, like there was a lot of great that came
I
out
think
of
the
it.
pandemic for me is really when a lot of stuff blew up for me, because I think what
Everyone
happened.
was home and just
man,
watching.
Man, everyone was home,
Yeah.
and it's funny because when the pandemic started, you know, the crazy thing, I never really took the pandemic serious when it came.
Yeah.
I really didn't, and I don't know why. Because the pandemic came, I went to Senegal twice, Africa twice, and shot over there
Oh shoot,
during the
nice.
pandemic.
Yeah.
But when it first started, I didn't take it serious. I think everyone around me did though. And I remember I would call people, be like, "Hey, let's create," and they'd be like, "Man, there's a pandemic going on. I can't shoot." So what I did was started playing multiple characters, same
Oh,
person,
fun, yeah.
multiple characters. When I tell you that blew up for me,
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. I just during the pandemic, I just went crazy, and like you said, everyone was home. And I think it took a little bit because that's when TikTok blew up too during the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Because people was like, well, I guess I can create a TikTok video, and then people just came out of nowhere during the pandemic, came out as TikTok superstars, you know. So for me, the pandemic definitely was also a different experience. It blew me up as far as like Facebook definitely blew me up on Facebook. So it was
Nice.
crazy. It was just like, wow, okay, yeah, I took advantage of that.
Because it also shows the importance of the content that we're creating. You know, a lot of people, especially in schools, they don't give funding to the arts. Like it's mostly like sports, right? Like the kids who are playing football or basketball and soccer and stuff like that, and they don't really give you attention to the painting class or the acting classes and things like that. And it's like we went through a whole like globally, the whole
Yeah,
world
the whole
went
world
through a
was shut down.
pandemic together. And what is it that brought people comfort, or what did people turn to?
Yeah.
The arts. You know,
That's true.
like
That's true.
everyone.
That's a good way to look at it. That's actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I gotta ask this question. Does LA give you anxiety, or does it stress you? Which one?
Ooh. Now the question is anxiety and stress different? Or
They
is
are
it the
different.
same?
They are different. But I'm asking, does it give you one or the other, or does it give you both?
Praise God, I don't think I have a hold, or either have a hold on me, because when anything happens, I sort of give it to God. You know, so I definitely know that my faith has kept me grounded in this industry.
Okay.
But I will say there are moments, of course, when I might have anxiety more so than stress, and anxiety in not knowing a person's true intention, you know, or if they're trying to use me, or if they're.
You don't trust easy. Is that a thing?
The thing is, I love easy,
Yeah.
and sometimes I do try to trust easy, but when people move a certain way, then it like makes me get in my mind and retreat and wonder if I'm being too like loving and open to people,
Yeah.
and if I should be closed off. But then again, like God checks me in a way, and it's like, no, be loving, just be mindful. So the anxiety creeps in when it's like having to be intentionally mindful. But
Yeah. No, it's interesting because LA gives me anxiety.
Yeah. In what capacity?
Well, as far as like what I do, I create content and I do social media. And social media is, people don't know, as much as one of the things I used to do when I first started social media, I'd be like, man, listen, you should create, you should get on it, you should do it. And I used to be like, because it's easy for me, so I'm like thinking, I'm like, how come it's not easy for you? But I had to learn that it's really not easy thing to do. It's just I've been doing it so long.
Yeah.
It's repetitive.
It's second nature.
Yeah. So, but it's not that it's easy. It's hard every single day. It's just I don't feel it because I do it every single day.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But it took me time because I used to tell people, man, I'm like, bro, I don't get why you're not doing this. Why you're not creating? Why you're not, woo, woo. And for me, I realized too, the reason why social media is the one that gives me kind of anxiety because social media changes every probably 3 to 4 months. Monetization changes. You get demonetized or you get monetized.
Yeah.
You don't make this money or you make that money. And then somebody that doesn't have like a steady job, this is like your job.
Yeah.
You don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem I have with social media. It's like here, and LA is in general, I feel like you really don't know how it's gonna play out. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's for me. But luckily, I just I stay consistent and I keep going, and I just try. But LA definitely stresses me out. Are you social?
Social in terms of like going out and about or on social media?
Oh, that's two different things.
Yeah.
Are you social out and about?
Yes, I am.
Very?
But I will say, like before COVID, always, especially when I first moved to LA, the Dominican events. And then it was making sure that I went to lunches or dinners with the people that I was meeting at those events, especially those who are in the industry, who are other actresses, or actors or directors, just like building that community around me. And then going to different networking events at Sony, Fox, Disney, trying to just like immerse myself in the industry. So for me, like being social was just meeting a bunch of people as I could, but I don't always necessarily see it as networking, because in college I remember thinking that was such a dirty word, like networking, what, like trying to get something out of somebody or someone trying to get something out of me. Like I just completely hated it, and I told that to someone and she was like, no, you have to see it as making connections, right? Like don't go into it wanting something out of someone, because people will be turned off and they'll see that. And also you don't like it when people approach you wanting something out of you, so just make it as like, do you even like this person, right? Like why would you want something from them if you don't even like them? So I think like for me it just became like, how can I be of service to people? How can I pour love into people? How can I like get to know them on a human level? And then if we naturally like connect, then we'll see where that goes, right? So I was always out and about. COVID switched me because of that fear of catching COVID, of getting sick.
It was very scary when it first came out.
Yeah,
it's funny, like I said, I didn't take it serious, but I also was like, I didn't want to catch it, but it's one of those things where it was like, they made it seem like if you caught it, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, they was like, you got to isolate. You might come back or you might not.
Right. You could die. God forbid. But like, so it definitely instilled a lot of fear in me for a good 2 years. And also the industry made it something that was fearful, because they're like, well, if you have COVID, you can't be on set. And then I was like, okay, well, now I have to isolate myself and not socialize, because is socializing worth not having income? And so I became a homebody so that I wouldn't miss out on any opportunities that could possibly come. And then, when was it? The beginning of this year? Well, no, last year I traveled a lot. So last year I was kind of like, you know what? COVID is here, but COVID seems to be staying.
It's not going nowhere.
Right, it's not going anywhere. But I want to go places.
Yeah.
So I just like allowed myself to travel, and I never got COVID anywhere I went. And so in the beginning of this year, I was like, let me reclaim who I am, which is me being like a social butterfly. Let me reclaim just like my joy of networking and meeting people, making connections. And so I started, going out more, and I've gone out a lot this year.
That's good.
That I think it's making up for it.
Yeah. That's good. That's different. I'm not social at all. You don't see me outside.
And that's okay. So why is that?
Why I'm not social?
Yeah.
I have trust issues. I don't trust easy. And I think, like you said, my idea of the term networking is very interesting because it's kind of similar to the way you said it at first, where like people feel like they're getting something out of you or you're getting something out of people. So the reason why I'm not so big on like, I love networking, but I love networking with people that actually do what they say they're gonna do. And there's a lot of people that say they're gonna do something and don't do it in LA. I mean, it's a lot of it.
Yes.
And that's what turned me off because when I first moved to LA, I moved out here. I barely had a job, barely had income, and I would meet people, right? And if they called me to go shoot, or if I scheduled them to shoot, I would call off work, and I had no money, but I would call off that day to make money and work with these people, just because I moved out here to create,
Yeah.
and they would cancel.
Horrible.
So I didn't make money. I called out,
And you didn't get to
and
create.
I didn't get to create.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, I don't know how much longer I can do this because I don't have money at all. You know what I'm saying? And that's why like I stopped, because I felt like I was going to network with people early on and they wasn't really doing it. And then I quickly realized not everyone in LA is actually in LA to do something. A lot of people come out here, they think they want to do this, but then they get lost in the nightlife, or they get lost, they get caught up with a job, and now they got to pay bills all the time, so they're not even doing what they moved out here to do. So for me, I just focused on just saying I'm gonna do it myself, and it worked out. So I never really given back the networking part.
Yeah.
That's why then I'm not social, because I'm like, half of the people you meet don't do what they say they're gonna do. It's a small percentage. You get lucky with those people, but for the most part, that's why it's like, it's not that I have anything against it. Now the people that like, I'm cool and consistent. If they hit me to do something, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll pull up and we do it, you know.
Yeah.
But for the most part, to just say I'm going to this place to meet people, a lot of times you're gonna meet people, y'all gonna exchange information, and never gonna do nothing. That happens a lot. It's like you meet people somewhere, they say, oh man, I'm a cinematographer. Oh, okay, we should do something. You reach out to this person, man, look, I got this going on and that going on, and y'all never do anything.
Yeah.
And
I agree and understand that 100% as someone who is always out and about, you know. But I think you said something that was very key, and it's the people who say that they're going to do something but don't do it versus the people who are about what they say. And I think that makes sense as to why, like, you sort of network among who you work with, because you know that we all have a specific work ethic and that we're about what we say we are about. And so when we bring on someone, we know that we're not going to bring you someone who's going to flake.
Right.
Because then that also makes us look bad.
Right.
But I will also say that sort of it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so you go out, you meet people, and they might be in a season where they're very focused on paying their bills because, you know, their bills are high, whatever it may be. But I think there's in a way, because I love meeting people.
I love meeting people too. It's just
But I know that people are in different seasons. So if someone who I met like 2 years ago was just like working a 9-to-5 regular job, trying to just like live above water, maybe they were in a mental space that wasn't the healthiest, but now 2 years later they're on it, they're in a program, like a mentorship program with someone in the industry, and now they're like getting their work seen, and now they're doing stuff. It's like, you never know who someone 2 years ago is going to be now.
I agree.
So I think it's also like, sure, it might be frustrating that you want to work with someone and they don't, because I've had those friends that I'm like, oh, let's collaborate, let's do this, let's do that, like with so much love and excitement, and they just aren't in the space to do it. There's still love, but it's knowing who gets to have access to me in the season and who doesn't.
That's true.
Right? And how much access do they get?
Right.
So then it's just shifting, okay, let me be around the creatives, because right now I need to be creative. And then it's like, let me be around the people who are just living life and going with the flow, because sometimes I have to remember to live life and go with the flow. You know? So I think in a way it's good to have a balance, but also not counting people out, because you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with that. You know, and I don't. You know, I mean, let's just look. Like me and you, for example, I reach out to you as many times. Not that I know that you don't want to do it. It's like you busy. I
Yeah.
know. That's another thing about me. Like if I know you got stuff going on, I would never give up on you.
Yeah.
I don't give up on people because I understand. Like I was the person that moved here, bro, and I'm working 2, 3 jobs, trying to survive. And if somebody reach out to me to work, I'm gonna try to make it if I can.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So people that have that, they're like, I know you got a job, I know you got bills, you got family, you got things going on. I'm gonna reach out to you consistently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's just the time it hasn't been right. But I can also tell when somebody's not doing it or not interested.
Correct.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't give up on people. I try not to, at least, because I also don't take a lot of things personal like that. Like it takes me a long time before for me to say something is personal, because you really did nothing to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I try to not give up on people, but I also do try to like limit the access, my access to myself. I mean the people access to me, because I do value my time. When you're around me, you're gonna be motivated because I'm always working. I'm always doing something, and people are gonna be trying to do the same thing. And I'm also like, I like the energy reciprocated. Like when I'm around somebody, man, I just want to learn things. I just want to be like, man, I would love to take this from you and
Yeah.
apply it to my life. Just like when people around me, I think, I don't know for sure, but I think they take like the work ethic somewhat.
Yes.
So and so that's my thing, you know. I do think I'm gonna try this. My friend David recently, I was talking to him, and just like I was telling you about the lawyer, because I need like a lawyer, I need a manager, and he said something to me so crazy actually. He says, so what do you mean these people? I said, well, I'm not meeting them nowhere. He said, why not? I said, well, I don't really go out, bro. And he said, so you think they're just gonna pull up in your living room?
Thank you.
And I said, nah. He said, bro, when you first moved out to LA, right? He's Phil as an example. He said, you literally went outside and you met Phil. You met everybody else you was working with outside. What makes you think that you're gonna meet a lawyer in your living room?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, that's true. So now I'm mindful. I go out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, at least. You know what I'm saying? It's just that I'm not too social. I've never been really the social guy. But I can be social when I'm around people too. Like I know how to turn it on and off.
Yeah.
It's not a preference of mine to just be out and, you know, but I do it. I'm doing it more now, so.
Especially when you have so much going on, right? Like you're filming, you're editing, you're brainstorming on what projects you can do next.
When I have
you know,
time,
this
I'm
podcast.
tired.
Yeah, like when you got time.
I don't want to do nothing. Like when I like am not working, all I want to do is just, I don't even watch TV. Like when people come to me, have you seen the new? I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
They're like, but you do this. I'm like, yeah, but I don't watch. Like I don't get a chance to. Like I don't watch television. And
So do you prefer watching movies? Because it's like you get it and then you're done.
yeah, movies I force myself, if it's especially like the last one I've recently, like I said, this what is
Spider-Man?
it? The Spider-Man. Like
Yeah.
I forced myself to go see that because I loved the first one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta see the second one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think if it's something that I truly, truly want to see, I have to force myself. But just to say I get up, put the TV on, and look up on a good show or a good movie, I don't see it. I don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I pay for Netflix, so I need to close that.
Yeah, either close it and have a friend or borrow it from a friend, you know. For
Well, that's the
times
funny
that you
thing.
do want to watch it.
Yeah, like I do this with my friends. So like we all share our streaming platforms.
Good.
So
yeah.
like I pay for Netflix for certain people, they get it from me, and then other people pay HBO, so I get it from them.
Yeah.
And then other people, like Phil pays Hulu, so I got some of his Hulu. Jaheim pays for HBO, I got some of his HBO. I got another friend who has like Amazon, so I got their Amazon.
What's funny is there was a little skit about friends with benefits,
Yeah.
and that's what it was about. Like
Oh,
the
really?
benefits of having friends who each you pay like your own streaming service and then just share it with each
That's
other.
funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I do it that way. But it's been a pleasure, man. Yeah, this is so good. I'm so glad you came through. You got to come back another time when we have like more people. We can actually
Yeah.
talk more and
No, I love that. This was fun. These were some good conversations.
yeah,
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
joining
you too.
us. I mean, I appreciate myself always. I gotta appreciate myself.
Humble.
No, I ain't going humble. I'm done being humble. I'm humble enough. No, I'm joking. But yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you guys. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, Elhadjtv Connect. It's on Patreon, so make sure you check it out. And I'll see you next time.